abathenina banamandla abalandeli benkosi abathenina babheka izulu abathenina babanotha abathenina banamandla abalandeli benkosi obezulwini kukhona inkosi uthando lwakhe uxolo luvela kuyena walushiya namakholwayo walushiya namakholwayo.
Hi everybody, welcome to Melbourne, Oxfam Trailwalker Melbourne 101 Night 2018. I'd just like to start by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional landowners of the land that we're standing on today, and pay my respects to elders past, present and future. I'm Crystal, I'm the fundraising events coordinator here in Melbourne, and I'm going to be your contact over the next 4 months, all the way up until Trailwalker Melbourne 2018, which is the 23rd to the 25th of March. So there's a few of you in today. How many of you guys, with a show of hands, are already registered participants? Oh my goodness! Yay! I'm so excited to see you all. Yay, welcome. So I know some of you, but I'll meet some others over the next coming months. And how many of you are still unsure? And you're sussing it out tonight, seeing if you're ready for the challenge? Just one. You can do it. Let's egg her on, hey? So we've got some amazing people today to speak with you. So you're within good company. We've got experts, enthusiasts, ambassadors on stage and also in the audience with you. And I believe one of our ambassadors, Jeff, was handing out welcome packs earlier. So thank you, Jeff. And yeah, we've got some amazing people. So hopefully we'll make you feel inspired and ready to go. So throughout the night, we're going to have a number up on the screen. So you'll be able to text in your questions. So any questions you can think of, you can text them to that number. And then at the end of the evening, we'll endeavour to answer all your questions. For those that haven't been answered, we're going to post them on the Melbourne Trailwalker 2018 event page on Facebook tomorrow. So make sure you send us texts. Don't worry, because this number is going to be on every slide. So I can see you're all quickly putting the number in. So it will be on every slide. So the amazing experts and enthusiasts that we're going to speak to today are, well, there's a panel of amazing people. So the first one that's coming up to speak to us is from our programs department in Oxfam. So she'll tell us where all your fundraising goes and all the amazing work that Oxfam does. So I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Shannon McSolvin. Thank you.
Hi. Thanks, Crystal. Thank you. It's a real privilege to be here today, and I'm not checking Facebook while I talk. I'm using my phone for notes, so please excuse me. I'm also, I realise, covered in baby food from 1 or 3 of my children, so I do apologise for that. But, you know, I'm sure most of you can understand, or some of you can hopefully understand that. I have the privilege for working with the programs team at Oxfam Australia, and I work particularly with the Papua New Guinea programs and our programs in India as well. And so I can safely vouch for the fact that the money that you raise through Trailwalker goes to very worthy causes. Oxfam work with partners in country, local organisations who are the real experts in their development, and we support them to do some amazing programs. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of our work in Papua New Guinea, because I just got back from there actually a couple of weeks ago. It is, I don't know if anyone's been to Papua New Guinea, but it's a pretty amazing place. We have, the majority of our programs are in the highlands, and which is literally highlands, mountainous regions, very hard to get to villages. And I wanted to encourage you that when you are doing your 100k trek and you're feeling completely like you need a bit of a pick-me-up, I want you to try and imagine me absolutely dying, schlepping up a mountain while it's raining, surrounded by a whole community of people who are laughing at me because I am the crazy foreigner who cannot walk up their hill, which was my experience earlier in the year when we were visiting some very remote and spectacular villages. So hopefully that is a bit of an encouragement. But our work in Papua New Guinea is primarily around safe water. Most of the population don't have access to safe water, and we work with the government to bring about that. We partner with them and build their capacity, and we also provide what we call WASH services. But the bulk of our work is around eliminating violence against women, and Papua New Guinea has probably the second most highest rate of violence against women in the world. It's pretty horrific, actually, and so our work is working with local women-based organisations to provide support for women and children who experience extreme violence. And what we do is we provide refuge services, so where they will have case management, they will have access to medical support, trauma counselling, and legal services as well. And it's a pretty horrific time, obviously, in someone's life, and I had the privilege of visiting recently and talking to a woman who was at one of our partner services, and she very graciously spoke to me. She was an amazing and resilient woman, and the partners they had provided her with safe accommodation. They had provided her with a beautiful package of, hygiene and comfort items. They were providing counselling and trauma support. She had some injuries that had been that she'd received medical support for, and she was currently waiting for what can be a very lengthy process to have some legal, justice in her situation. But she was a remarkable woman, and she was smiling and really happy to meet someone from Australia. And I just wanted to say that it might sound a little bit, trite, but what you're doing through Trailwalker, it really does impact people, and the money that you raise really does go to giving people dignity back when they are at their most vulnerable and lowest moments in life. And we have the honour of working with them and learning from them and supporting them to have meaningful and safe futures. One of the other elements of this particular program is working with survivors or people who have been accused of sorcery. So this is something that I didn't know that existed anymore in the world, but it does, and it is pretty rampant in some areas of the highlands in Papua New Guinea. So our partners that we work with on the gender-based violence programs also provide safety and the same services and case management for people who have been accused of committing sorcery, which might happen if someone died in the community and someone else was unhappy about it, then they might accuse someone of committing sorcery. And often those people are the elderly or women or sometimes children, and the ramifications of that are often extreme violence, torture or death. And so to be accused of sorcery is a permanent, you have to have a complete change. You have to be relocated and start again, which can be really hard. So our programs work with people to help them have a new start, and I had the privilege of also meeting some people who helped initiate those programs, and they are some amazing powerhouse women who got together, and one of our partner organisations, I just love them, they started by there were these 3 women, and they were all from different communities that were for decades in a tribal war, and they had known each other at school but been separated through marrying off into different tribes, and they ended up reconnecting during the conflict and deciding they'd had enough They didn't want to see their husbands, their sons, their family go to war anymore. They were tired of it, and so they secretly kept meeting, and over years and years they kind of were tenacious in bringing about long-lasting peace, and they did. And they now work with the survivors of gender and sorcery-related violence. And these are the people that we support. These are the people that your money goes to. So when you are schlepping up a very high mountain or in the middle of the night and you're like, why am I doing this? I am insane. Just think about these amazing women who have lost limbs, and they have fought, and they have hidden from their husbands and their fathers and their sons in order to bring peace for their communities. And these are the type of things that your 100Ks is contributing to. So thank you so much, and good luck. You're amazing.
Thank you so much, Shannon. That was so inspiring, wasn't it? Wow. It's really amazing to see where your money goes and how much of a difference it can make. And yeah, wow. I don't even know how to follow that, to be honest. Wow. It's absolutely incredible. So yeah, as you said before, if you're up the mountain and you're stressing out, just think of these people and how much of a difference your fundraising really makes to people. So that's amazing. So where are you guys going to be in March? Oh, I'm so excited. You are going to be with 3 of your teammates on the start line with 850 other teams ready to walk 50 or 100 Ks through Victoria's beautiful bushland. I'm looking at people panicking and people laughing and smiling and being excited. It's going to be amazing. But remember, it's one of the toughest endurance events in the whole world. This isn't a walk in the park, but it's okay because you're in it together. We can do this. It's going to be a life-changing experience for you, and if you've done it before, you will completely agree with that comment, I'm sure. You're going to find strength that you never knew you had, and with every step you're going to know that you're helping people around the world tackling poverty, which is amazing. So, to ensure that you feel ready and supported, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, our very talented and hardworking Events Operation Coordinator, Christoph Novak. Welcome. So that's your next one. Oh no, next one.
Next one.
Sorry.
Here we go. Also from me, a warm welcome tonight. Welcome to the Oxfam Trailwalker 2018 Melbourne 101 night. As Crystal said, I'm the Events Operations Coordinator, so I'm looking at everything at the logistical, operational side of the event. And one part of my area of responsibility is the actual trail safety, trail infrastructure, and so forth. So you can blame me for the trail if you want. So as Crystal said, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be 100 Ks or 50 Ks. Regardless, you will eventually get tired, and some elements of the walk and the trail will test you sooner or later. What I wanted to talk through is quickly where we have our locations, where you start, where you finish, what you would find at those locations, and what is possible and what not. So let's start at the 100K start line in Gels Park, which we had for a lot of years now. It's definitely a good venue. Nice green, and it's going to be buzzing in the morning with so many teams. You will start your journey there, and then you will walk towards Churchill National Park, which will be our first checkpoint. So you probably know that you will need to organise yourself a support crew, which will give you assistance and helpful items at checkpoints, but not at checkpoint 1. Checkpoint 1 is a non-support crew checkpoint. So it's the first checkpoint. It should be okay for you to move on to the next checkpoint, Listerfield Lake, which is the first support crew checkpoint. And that's the first time you can meet them and get food, clothes, new shoes, new shirts, raincoats, whatever you need. They hopefully provide us and spoil you. And then you move towards the Dandenong Ranges. So the next stop would be Ferntree Gully as checkpoint 3, which is again a support crew checkpoint. In fact, all the other checkpoints are support crew checkpoints. So it's only checkpoint 1 where we don't allow any cars and support coming in. Then you walk up the Dandenongs. That's the first test at sort of kilometre 30 to 40, 45. So you will go and end up at Olinda, which is our first overnight camping checkpoint. So you'll be finished on Friday up to checkpoint 3. You'll be finished by Friday, and then heading into Saturday you'll be definitely at Olinda or even further. So that's the first camping checkpoint, so you can decide whether you want to have a break, move on, or have a couple of hours sleep. And then you move on to Graham Colling Reserve to Mount Evelyn, which is checkpoint 5, another camping checkpoint, which is from experience our biggest checkpoint. And then it goes into the Yarra Valley to Wurriyaluk, which is our last overnight camping checkpoint. And then the last checkpoint will be the Millwarra Primary School in Millgrove. And then you've got another challenge at the end, because we want to be nice to you. Mount Little Joe is a good challenge at the end, and once you pass that peak, you can already see the finish in Westburn, and get ready for some celebration at the finish line. So that's a trail for the 100 kilometre. For the 50 kilometre distance, which we have introduced for the first time in Melbourne in 2018, we'll start at the Sylvan Reservoir Park, which is a beautiful, scenic, nice location. That's going to start on a Saturday. 100Ks obviously start on a Friday. And it's only a 300-400 metre feeder distance into the 100K trail, and everything else is the same. So now you're aware about the checkpoints and the route. I guess the challenges along the route will definitely be walking over the Dandenongs, and then it's getting a bit late on the Friday. You continue walking down to the Dandenongs into the Yarra Valley, and then for many people of you, it's going to be dark, and you walk along the Warburton Rail Trail, and it's dark, and you see some lights. You might think they're 500 metres away, but then they're actually 2 kilometres away. So it's a mental challenge, so prepare for that as well. That's just the feedback I received from walkers. That's definitely a mental challenge. And then the last physical challenge, as I mentioned, is Mount Little Joe. So make sure at the last checkpoint that you get ready for the last big climb and push through to the 100K or 50K respectively. What can you find at checkpoints? So support crew can access the checkpoints except for checkpoint 1, and they are here to help you out and to support you and give you whatever they can give you and help you with for you to make that and accomplish that challenge. But from our side, we also help you in terms of infrastructure. So we support you with toilets, fresh water. We also have basic food items at the checkpoints or at various checkpoints. We also have food vendors and coffee vendors at checkpoints, and also first aid. So that's actually that slide. I forgot to move on. So what else do we have? First aid, basic food, water, and camping at checkpoint 4, 5 and 6. What we also have is our allied health team. So allied health team are 3 areas: podiatry, physiotherapy and massage. So at checkpoint 2, 4 and 6, you have the opportunity to use that service. It's free of charge, it's included, it's lovely volunteers and qualified supervisors who look after your feet and your blisters and your sore legs and whatever physical problem you might experience throughout the walk. So they're able to look after you and at least temporarily make it a little bit better and fix it. So these are checkpoint facilities, what we have. Another important area for us is, so we're organising an event with a lot of people. So not just our logo, Oxfam logo is green. We also want to be green throughout the event, which means we're trying to reduce our environmental impact throughout the event as much as possible. So we have, in the last couple of years, at least, we start with environmental audits, and we get measured against some scores, and we're doing well. We're improving, and the plan is to further improve as well. But what we have now as a sort of tradition is that we're a cup-free event, or we're trying to aim to be a cup-free event. So we're reducing or minimising the use of disposable cups. So if you can bring along your reusable cup to get your Oxfam tea and coffee at the checkpoints, because we're not going to hand out any disposable cups. So that's just one area. But then obviously we separate waste and try to be as mindful as possible in that area, in that space. And then that's my last slide, I think, is a message from DELP. I think it's the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Primary Industries, I think it is. Anyway, they do planned burning, and they promised us that they don't burn down the event on event weekend, but what they do is they might burn a little bit in the lead up to it when you want to train on the trail. So they, in order to avoid any disappointment where you have to turn around halfway through your training and have to go back and you can't get to your car, which is on the other side, it would be good to check those websites before you head out, because we had a few planned burns, at least in the last 4 to 6 to 8 weeks before last event. So it's worth having a look at it. So also in our in the welcome packs there is a flyer enclosed again, which gives you a bit more details. Well, that's for me, I think. Crystal will take over. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Christoph. That was such a helpful rundown. It's really good to see a big overview of everything operational. So I hope you're feeling all supported and confident and know that we're here for you. I have... Oh, he already has his picture. There's a clue in the picture. There you go. We have an amazing Trailwalker ambassador on stage with us today. This man has walked Oxfam Trailwalker 11 times around Australia with Team Tangle Feet. And next week he's going to go to Hong Kong to participate in the original Oxfam Trailwalker that started as a training exercise for the Queen's Gurkha Regiment back in 1981. So amazing work. And his team together, they've raised over $130,000 between them for Trailwalker. So amazing job. So give this man a big hand. This is Jonathan Harper.
Thank you, Crystal. And first of all, congratulations for all of you for signing up and taking on the challenge. And as we've heard from Shannon, you know, your money really does go to a fantastic cause. And no doubt you're a little bit nervous, just as I was 10 years ago when I was sitting in those very seats getting ready for my first Oxfam. And I'm very happy to be here and just to share some personal reflections in the light of 10 years of doing the event in Melbourne, and just hopefully to give some kind of things that we could have done differently in the early events, and just as a kind kind of reference point, the first couple of Oxfam's trail walkers I did, we took 33 hours 10 years ago. Most recently, this year, we did it in 19. So there are some things that you can do. First comment I would make is that it's really useful to download the training guide. There's a 14-week training guide. That's got a lot of useful tips on training and a training program for different levels. I'd really recommend that. I won't go through it, but I'll just pick out 2 or 3 things that I thought were really relevant. So the 3 things I'm going to focus on, one is to start training early. The second is to avoid blisters. And the third is to work as a team. So just a quick show of hands. Has anybody started training yet at all? Oh, that's fantastic. So my first comment was going to be, there's only 19 weeks to go. And don't think, wait till Christmas, start in January, because the more training you put in early, the better. And once you get post-Christmas and back to work, there really isn't long before the event. And you need to build up, increase your training, but also allow a bit of time to taper in the couple of weeks just before the event. The other thing that I'd recommend is start early, and build up slowly, kind of per the training guide. There's lots of things you can do. So in my lead up, I'd half an hour walk at lunchtime each day. I walk to the train in the mornings once a week. Before the event, I'll walk home to Mount Waverley. You don't need to walk that far. You can just get off the train, stop 1 stop early, 2 stops early, build it up. And then at the weekends, I'd recommend putting in a training walk with a few hills. So, for example, as Christoph indicated, one of the hardest sections is Ferntree Gully across to Olinda through the Dandenongs. It's hardest and also a really nice walk. And the other thing I'd recommend is doing Mount Little Joe at least once in training, just so you know what you're in for at the end of the walk, because after 90k it's a bit harder than just rocking up and doing it for the first time. So start training early. Another question I get asked is, what's the longest training walk you do? So typically, certainly in the early years, we used to do 2 or 3 walks greater than 30k, so probably 30 to 40k. Teams differ. Some do longer walks than that. Some do shorter. The comment I would make is that 30k seems to be a little bit of a break point. Once you walk above 30k, things like niggles, blisters, all start to kick in and become more apparent. So don't be lulled into a false sense of security by doing lots of 10 or 15k walks and thinking it's going to be okay. Do at least 1 or 2 greater than 30. Which leads me to blisters. Really simple advice, don't get blisters. Prevention is better than cure, and it's probably the single biggest cause of people withdrawing from the event. In order not to get blisters, there's plenty of things you can do. Again, there's training guide and there's some videos on YouTube in terms of things like taking care of your feet, taping your feet if you want to tape them. Some people wear 2 pairs of socks. I'll wear 2 pairs of socks. Some people wear walking shoes. People wear trainers. The main thing is to take note of that, work out what works for you well in advance of the event. And then the biggest piece of advice is not to change anything the week or 2 weeks before the event. The number of people that I've talked to on the trail and in between that have, they get a special pair of shoes just for the event, or a new pair of socks 2 weeks before the event, and they put them on inside out or something, and they've been fine up until the event, and then it goes wrong on the day. So it's very tempting to just change something for that special day. You've got to avoid that and do it early on. Last area in terms of training I was going to talk to is about the team, and just picking up on a couple of comments that have been made earlier. So the first thing is, it is a team event, and your team, you want to finish as a team, and it sounds obvious, but your team is as fast as the slowest person. So you have to take care of each other, and the people who are stronger, particularly as it gets towards the end of the event, have to help the people that are, doing it tough, and you will be doing it tough in the last 20 or 30k. And different people go through tough periods at different times. So please don't walk on, several hundred metres above the last member in your team that's struggling. There's nothing worse, and I've been in this position, than trailing behind the other team members as they merrily walk away and you're feeling a bit tired. The challenge is mental as well as physical, and particularly for the teams that are taking longer than 12 hours, which is probably most of you, although there are some teams that do it in 10 hours each year. You'll be walking through the night, and 3 o'clock in the morning when the temperature drops and it's cold and it's dark, possibly raining, I hope not, it really is challenging. So that's where you need your team support. Watch out for each other in terms of, are you drinking sufficiently? Are you eating sufficiently? So even though my team, between us now, we've done almost 50 trail walkers around Australia, even now, some people in the team, or one person in the team, I think it was 2 years ago, just stopped eating and just we kind of noticed he wasn't eating and was going a bit slow, and he just kind of mentally he just lost the plot slightly, and I said, look, you need to eat something. Have you got any food? He said, yeah, I'm saving it for the end. And I said, well, actually, it's not that much, not much use at the end. And we virtually had to stop and force feed him, and got through to the end after that. Similarly, early on, we've had people in the team that have just not drunk enough early on, got a bit dehydrated, and then really been in kind of quite painful situation trying to get rehydrated whilst continuing with the event. And then the other thing, kind of again associated with the team, is think of your support crew as part of the team, both from the point of encouragement, meeting you, bringing headlamps for the night, change of clothes, warm clothes, etc. It's really important that you integrate them into your team, that they know where the checkpoints are, and they've got a plan as to where to meet you. And that can easily go wrong, and you don't want to be walking along the trail and trying to organise a support crew while you're walking, because you'll have plenty of other things to think about. I just realised I said all that without going through the first slide, but I've talked about training and preparation. Just a few comments on fundraising, and again, just to reiterate, I mean, the main point about the event is to raise funds for this wonderful cause and make a difference to people in need around the world. So I'd really encourage you to kind of focus on that as well. And as with training, my advice is start early. And as with training, there are lots of really helpful guides online. So there's a fundraising guide. There's lots of different things you can do, whether it's a barbecue at Bunnings or Safeway, organising cakes for morning tea at work. There's Oxfam collection boxes, trivia nights. Each year, teams raise wonderful amounts of money, and they all do it in different ways. And one of the critical things there is, don't be put off. Small amounts add up. So whether you get donations, $5, $10, $15, they all add up and will help us meet the target, which was $2.5 million last year. Is it 2.5 million again? Oh, 3 million. Well, you better really start early. So $3 million. Wow, so that'll be a challenge. So what do I do? So kind of two main things that I've done. One is selling fundraising chocolates, because I work in an office environment. I've got boxes of chocolates on several floors in the building. Last year I sold 11,000 chocolate bars and raised approximately half of our 18,000 fundraising last year through chocolate sales effectively. The trick is to sell them to others and not to eat them yourself. The fair trade ones work well as well. Second thing is, a lot of people, and even people in my team, are quite hesitant about asking people for money. They just don't like asking people for money. But once people know what the cause is, people are more than receptive and more than willing to donate to the cause. So the other thing that I do is I send just masses of emails around. I've got a personal email distribution list, which is around 100 friends and relatives, and then I've got an email distribution list at work, which is another couple of hundred, and then that fills in the balance of the fundraising. According to my kids' emails, passe, but it works for me. I've got a Facebook page, but that never works well. First of all, I haven't got many friends. You've probably got more. But secondly, I get a lot of likes from the friends, but no money. So whatever works. I just send an email around saying, donate, here's the link, do it now. And then the final thing is, in terms of fundraising, do say thank you, because no doubt you'll have all enjoyed this year's event so much that you'll want to do it again next year and the 10 years after that. So say thank you the first time, because you'll be asking the same people again for more money the following year. So that's all from me, but I'll be around for Q&A and also afterwards if you've got any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. It's really good to hear from someone with such experience. Brilliant. So just wanted to speak about our target of $3 million. Woo! We can do it. Some amazing advice from Jonathan there. Just take on those tips and we can absolutely smash it. My colleague Lena came up with an amazing plan as well. So right now, we're on just under $70,000 fundraising between us. And she was suggesting really well, I love this idea, that if we focus on fundraising $60 each by the end of the week, then we're going to hit $100,000 by the end of the week, just between us and the next team and the next group. What do you reckon? Do you think we can do that? Yay! We can just chip in ourselves, it's fine. Set this bar high. Awesome. All right, cool. So, really easy ways to get there. We can change our signature. There's some fantastic ways of doing it. So I just want to talk briefly about Exodus, one of our amazing sponsors. So just to tell you a little bit about them, they run small group tours around the world. So if you want to take your feet beyond the trail and head to an amazing adventure, check out exodustravels.com. We have some amazing incentives as well for fundraising. So these are our incentives. If you put your target to $2,500, that's placing your target as that, at that. It's non-obligatory, however we know you can smash it. Then you would get your team name on a bib, which is amazing. And if you're able to put your target up to $5,000, you get your name and your team name on your bib, so people can shout your name as you cross that finish line. And we've got two more amazing incentives. There's a beautiful picture of Lena with our silver buff on there. If you set your target at $10,000, you receive a highly sought after silver buff. Raise of hands at anyone who's set their target to $10,000 already? Oh, come on. You can do it. All right. And you also get your team name and your name on a bib as well. If you set your target to $15,000, but you actually have to hit this one, then you are then regarded as a Oxfam Trailwalker, very inspiring person, and your team will be awarded t-shirts branded with Trailwalker, keep cups each as well, and a gold buff. And you get to choose your start time with that one and get VIP entry into celebration night. So I'm delighted to announce that we do have a few teams that aren't with us tonight that have already committed to the $10,000. And one of them is in Darwin, so well done to Kentish Darwin Dingoes, who are going to receive their silver bus at the start line. So we've got an offer with Paddy Palin, one of our sponsors, that we're very grateful to work with. So if you choose to increase your fundraising target tonight, you're going to find some little pieces of paper on your seat, which allows you to increase your fundraising target. If you're able to do that, then you're going to go into the draw to win $400 worth of Paddy Palin vouchers. So that would be amazing. And we have our Trailwalker 2018 Paddy Palin t-shirts on sale at the back there, so you could use your vouchers for those. I invite you to stick around and text through any more of your questions, but before we go through your questions, we're just going to watch a 1-minute video and then we'll answer your questions. So thank you. Are you ready now? I am. Woo! Let's do it. So I just want to remind you, if you set your target to $10,000 tonight, you can walk away with your silver buffs. I'd also like to open the panel for question time and introduce another valued addition to our panel. This is Anna Weems, our National Events Fundraising Manager. So welcome, Anna. Okay. Question time. Do you want to take a seat, or are you gonna? Sure, yeah. Sorry. Okay. So if we don't answer your question tonight, as I say, they'll be on the Facebook page tomorrow. When does the 50K event take place, and at what are the start times? I think we can put that to Christoph.
Yeah, I think so. That's my area. Well, the 50K starts on the Saturday morning, and whereas the 100K, for example, the first wave starts at 6:30 in the morning on the Friday. On the Saturday, it's a bit more civilised. So the first wave starts at the Sylvan Reservoir Park at 9 o'clock. And then we have various start waves. Simply due to the capacity of the venue, we can't accommodate like a one massive one-off start. So we have to work in 90-minute intervals. So that means the first wave starts at 9 o'clock. The second wave start would take place at 10:30. The third one then at 12 o'clock, and the last one at 1:30 p.m.
Awesome, thank you. And to Anna, do teams have to raise a set amount of money to participate?
Yep, so to take part in Trailwalker, the minimum fundraising amount is $1,400, which is just $350 for each person, but the average team actually raises $3,500. So it's an easy target to achieve if you start early.
Yay! Okay, so I think this could go to Jonathan. What are the essential gear items, and what food shall we take with us?
In terms of the in terms of the gear first, everything starts from your feet upwards. So I would say sort your feet out, decide whether you're wearing walking shoes or trainers first. Either will do. So in our team, I wear walking shoes, the other three wear runners. Work out what socks you're going to wear and get that squared away, get the shoes worn in, and then everything else kind of falls into place. Gear-wise, the other thing is obviously something like a camelback or equivalent with a water bladder. That's critical so you can sip water as you go along. Some people use poles, some people don't. So typically I use the poles in the Dandenong Ranges section and the Mount Little Joe section, but not along the flat. Some people don't use them at all, but probably, particularly if it's your first event, poles are really, really helpful. I've heard it said that they can kind of take up to 30% less effort using poles, whether it's 30% or 20%, they certainly do help, and I find them particularly uphill. They really help. In terms of food, check out what is available at each checkpoint, first of all. So, and that's great. So there might be kind of bananas at the first checkpoint, and there's barbecues and various things at other checkpoints on the way. So work out that. What we do is we take a small amount of snacks. For myself, it's normally Snickers and barbecue shapes and basically junk food for most of the way. And then we have 1 or 2 points where the support crew meet us with some pasta or rice as a kind of dinner, and if you're going overnight, breakfast. But yeah, sort that out before the event, and there's information about nutrition and what to eat online as well.
Thanks, Jonathan. Just to add to the gear, there's also a few mandatory things that you have to take, such as a head torch if you're going to be walking at night time, and then a thermal blanket and a first aid kit. And we have some training and gear information sessions with our sponsors, Paddy Palin, and they can just clue you up on exactly what you need to take, and you can also buy it from them too.
Thank you. I think we've only got time for one more question, but as I said, everything's going to be on the Facebook page. So, what is your top fundraising tip, Jonathan?
Well, I guess as I said earlier, start early, choose one of the lots of options that are available and just stick to it. But the main thing is just ask lots of people to give you money. I mean, the worst thing they can do is ignore the email. I've never had anybody reply and say no, and I get it out of 300 emails. I'll get $9,000. So it's just that easy.
Awesome.
Just send lots of emails. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. And just to answer one more question, this is going to be on YouTube next week, and it'll be on the Trailwalker YouTube channel. So look for Oxfam Trailwalker if you want to recap on any of these. Also, if you are a person who needs a team and you're on your own, you can come and see Lena at the Oxfam desk. And also, if you've got a gap in your team and you want to meet someone to join your team, feel free to have a conversation with Lena, and we'll try and match you guys up. We'll post any of your questions, and don't forget to drop in your target upgrade forms. I look forward to supporting you on your journey, guys. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you to the panel.